Thank you, guys. All right, for the next 30 minutes, I want you to pick up that phone and call a friend because we're going to be talking to a young man who is really on fire for the Lord right now. But we want to know how he got there and the other side of the coin, and you'll be shocked, surprised, and amazed. And I'll give you a hint as to the good stuff. He's an author. Here's his book. We'll be right back right after this.
Be sure to call a friend and ask them to tune in. Call us right now. Our prayer lines are open. Please join the body of believers.
God put in my heart 5 years ago to produce this show, and it's about uniting the body of believers. And every show we're going to reach out and touch you guys and see if we can't unite you as a body of believers, one by one. As in Ephesians 4, verses 4 through 6, we should be one body, praising our one Lord and our one God. It's not about where you go to church or if you go to church or, it's about, do you believe? Have faith. Believe in God. Become a believer. If God is in your heart, the world changes. Your whole life changes. And you'll be so happy because you're going to be full of God's love. I mean, how much easier does it get, you guys? But join the body of believers. So together we can all say, I believe. Okay, guys, now sit back and enjoy this interview because we both talk fast. But there's so much here. So just don't even slow down thinking. Put it in fast gear. Welcome to my I Believe cameras, Mr. Gerrel Jones. Hey.
Thank you.
Yay,
thank you for having
coming.
me. Met some wonderful people.
Oh, my goodness.
Up in here. This is amazing.
Now, tell me where you're at right now. Let's start right here.
Okay, today I'm a public, of course, this is my first novel, and it's the second of 3 books. The first was a children's book, and the last was a kind of social, political, religious commentary on the prison system. But the whole was a real turning point for me. So I'm a published author. I'm a full-time counselor today for the largest Christian rehab or rehabilitation.
Are they
program
the largest?
in the state of Alabama.
I see.
Right,
Gotcha.
yes,
In
very,
Alabama. Thank you
right.
for coming here
Yeah,
to Tennessee
yeah.
for us.
Wouldn't have missed it. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. I'm also a student at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, a third-year psychology major.
Listen to you.
Partial scholarship. Yeah, you got to make some things happen. You gotta,
You're moving
this
a shaker.
This is the glory of God, right?
Amen.
Business owner, public speaker. Right, just whatever it is that I can make myself available to, that's what I'm
That's
gonna do.
wonderful.
I heard somebody say once that you need to help as many people as you can. Do as much for as many as you can as often as you can. So.
Oh, no, I like that, you guys.
I'm preparing myself to be that.
I love it. Now, you see, now this is what you're going to listen to, how one man has changed so many lives and touched so many. All right, let's start your story.
Well, my story begins in a lot of difficulty, in a hole of sorts, and it's part of the inspiration for that. My mother was came from a very dysfunctional home. She was raised in Birmingham, Alabama, in the 50s, segregated Birmingham, Alabama. 15 years old, she gets pregnant with me.
Oh, boy.
And my father was 24, so I'm the product of a sex crime.
Wow.
And she married a soldier who was also a drug addict and alcoholic. Both of my parents died. Both of my fathers died from substance abuse. Cirrhosis of the liver killed my biological father, and my stepfather, he died of a heart attack induced by cocaine use. So growing up in that environment is very difficult. In the military, you're traveling a lot, so you don't get an opportunity to develop a whole lot of roots. And then you learn how to be a chameleon. You have to move. And there was a lot of shame because of what was going on in my home that you couldn't tell anybody.
Right.
So you get you're kind of raised to have identity crises in that. But by the time I was 18 years old, I was a very angry, young black man. I guess almost the stereotype, just angry. And
That life and everybody.
yeah, at life and everybody. But ironically, I was senior class president when I graduated high school. Who's who among American high school student nowadays.
Really?
Had a bag full of academic scholarship offers, all that stuff. But I did not have the character to support my intellect or the giftedness that I had. So immediately I got involved in crime. I left home. got involved in drug use.
Did you know God at that time?
No, I had watched people go to church, jump up and down, scream and holler, spit their teeth out, sling their wig across the floor, hallelujah on Sunday morning, and then the bootlegger house on Sunday night. So instinctively, I knew that was a game. You know, the idea of walking up to the altar, repeat after me, and something magical happens. I'd seen people do that, and I saw that it didn't work. Right. So because I was intellectual, I couldn't put the pieces together.
Right.
Of course, I had never read the book, so you know, I find that a lot of people who have opinions about Christ never read the book. In fact, most Christians actually don't read the book.
I was going to say that. Yep.
So I hadn't read the book at that point, so I was very ignorant, and I ended up going to prison for an armed robbery in 1987. And in that situation, I mean, there's a lot of details we don't have time for, but I got criminalized. Right? You know, I wouldn't go to church because I saw that jailhouse religion was basically the same thing as street religion, only they did it instead of one time a week, they did it 6 days a week or 7 days a week. Just go to church, go back to your miserable life, go to church, go back to your miserable life. But nothing was really changing.
You saw the wrong side of even...
Right. Well, most of it was that, you know. So I wasn't going there. I felt like that was a game. I wasn't going to do that. So when I got out of prison, of course, I'm young, black, and I'm convicted, which is basically 3 strikes and you're out of the game. And that's what I felt like.
Trouble.
And so I got back into criminality. And in 1992... I committed a brutal homicide, and it's one of the most shameful acts that you know, I have to testify to. But this is to the glory of God. I ended up with a life sentence in the state of Alabama, and I did 20 and a half straight years. I believed that I was going to die. But this is what, you know, you mentioned in another episode about how people have time to read the Bible, right? But in this case, this is what happened. I immediately after the homicide came to myself. You know, I call it my experience with God. It's very different from what most people are going to describe. But I knew that there was a God, though I didn't believe it was Jesus or Buddha or Allah. I didn't know who it was. But there was a police officer that had arrested me for domestic violence some months earlier. And he's the one that sent me to Birmingham, right? And I've got some pictures of it. He sent me to Birmingham, and 10 days later I got the homicide. But I got away with the homicide. There was no witnesses, there was no, right? But I wanted to turn myself in. So I hitchhiked all the way back from Birmingham to
God gave
Atlanta.
You spirit,
Exactly. Turned myself over to him, and that was the beginning of, you know, my growth. You know, he turned me in. You know, he had to do what he had to do. I went up and got the life sentence, and for the next 20 years, he was very supportive as he could be. He testified at my trial that I turned myself in. But I ended up.
And you kept in touch with him.
I kept in touch as much as he could. He went through some changes. We lost touch for a while, but the miracles started to happen immediately. You know, I went up for parole 5 times. The Attorney General was always protesting. I ended up getting out of prison as I discovered specifically because I discovered something I felt like was revolutionary, that Jesus Christ was a mentor. And so I started mentoring guys in prison. I love it. Listen to this story. I started mentoring guys and their family members, because they would get out of prison and their family members would be so amazed at the changes that in these guys' lives.
I love it.
That they started trying to, well, who is this guy? Who are you talking to? So ultimately, they got with the government, and one guy in particular was from Springville, Alabama. He was country boy, good old boy. I'm talking about deer hunting, good old boy.
Pick up
so he had a brother that was a prophet in a church, and so his brother had prophesied to him 5 years earlier that a black man was going to bring him to Christ, right? So when he ran across me and he heard this new gospel, this idea of mentoring, which he had never heard before, right? He was like, I'm intrigued by this. So anyway, he ended up getting out of prison. His brother ended up connecting with me and using his influence, largely his reputation. He stuck his whole neck out and ended up contacting people and influencing me getting out of prison, the major player.
Wow.
But not only that.
What a difference.
He invited me into his home.
Really?
Oh, yes. Now, who tells their wife? He's got a wonderful wife, beautiful wife. Listen, this guy's a rebel flag flying, Republican card carrying member, gun NRA. Brought me to his home, give me the run of the place. The keys.
He was a white guy too.
Yes, of course he's a white guy.
Don't leave that out.
So rebel flag flying white guy, right? Yeah. So, but moved me into his home against, everybody's looking like, this is crazy. I mean, how do you tell your wife I'm going to move this black murderer into my home?
Out of the box.
After he gets me out of prison.
Yeah.
Right. But that's what happened. I enrolled at UAB. I got a scholarship. I ended up. They put me through a bunch of changes. I ended up with a scholarship. I couldn't get a job. Right, so the police officer that I turned myself into 20 years earlier took me to Home Depot, bought lawn care equipment, told me to go back to Birmingham and start a business. Right,
praise
You got to get this.
This is so good, you guys.
Listen, so I started that business. It fed me. I went to school. I got the scholarship. It fed me. I became a scholar. Right. I was mentoring guys. I deal with the homeless even now in 5 Points in Alabama, in Birmingham, and my reputation started getting out. But see, I knew that I was delivered not to live happily ever after, but to be a deliverer.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was what I understood.
Powerful.
And so I wrote when I wrote the Foolish Things, which was my second novel, third book. Right. The title was to express what God does. The idea is that He takes the foolish things of the world, because I was definitely the base and the despised and the foolish things.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is what God does. And so today, what I try to do is give people the understanding that, if I've been underground, I've lived in a box for 20 and a half years, but if I don't tell you, you don't know. I'm like the three Hebrew boys. When they got out of the fire, you couldn't smell smoke on their clothes.
Right.
You can't smell prison on me, because the glory of God is what makes me,
beautiful.
is what moves me on a daily basis. So today, I like to think of myself as a lifesaver.
Wow.
That's what my identity is.
I am so impressed that you spent half of your life in prison. And now you're working for the Lord.
Absolutely.
And you're on fire, very clear to say. You see, I want to share with you guys out there and impact you with what God can do and how He can use you. All you have to do is let Him. And you let Him. He got a hold of you and did not let go.
And the larger part of it was being able to follow a lead.
Yes.
I had some significant authority issues. And so, but when I realized that Jesus was a mentor, and this idea of submission, it wasn't just, I had been up to the altars before and just listened and said the prayer, but nobody, see, when you make a baby, you have to raise him. And this is a part of what I have felt is missing in a lot of our church evangelism.
Yes.
We like to see people come to the altar,
Yes.
but we don't want to spend the time developing
No follow
them.
through.
Right.
That's correct.
And so it's just like
I'm on that.
fatherless children. And
Yes.
the number one, the connection, the consistent theme among criminals is
Yes.
fatherlessness. Well, it's the
Yes.
consistent theme among dysfunctional Christians as well.
Right.
We don't have mentors to
Wow.
walk us through this new development process. So that's what my ambition is to open up my own program, small program where you can have the intimacy and walk people through those developmental processes.
Oh, I love it. I thank you so much for sharing your story, and you're definitely on fire for God and a servant of God. And I want to take you out there, and I want you to understand, see how one man made a strong influence in his life. One man, that white policeman that harbored him, mentored him, stayed with him, didn't give up on him when everybody else had and would have, And we have a lot of things going on in your testimony, the racial issues, forgiveness, repentance, drama. I mean, it's, so strong. So God put a little bit of everything in this recipe, but the finished product is a good one.
Well, it is. And I'm still living the miracle. Matter of fact, my address is actually Miracle Hills Road. You can't make this stuff up. I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding you. The guy that moved me into his home, and his address is Miracle Hills Road.
I love it. Now, see, that's the hand of God right there. That's the touch of an angel. Now, I told you guys that this was going to be a fast interview and a very jam-packed, full God's love impact interview, and it sure has. I want to thank you for sharing, and I want to invite each and every one of you to pay it forward. Share this testimony with someone, because you see, no matter how bad you think you are, God loves you, and just you have to say, I believe.
I believe.
We will be right back after this. Our prayer lines are open right now. Please call at 865-680-1891. 865-680-1891.
Don't go away. You're watching the I Believe TV program. Call me or text me.
Don't go away. There's more to come.
Okay, guys, instead of just picking up that phone and calling me, there's another way you can reach me. Text me. But if you text me, it's kind of simple. Just text me your need and tell me what time it's best time to call you back, and I promise you I will. It's the new technology on hand, and I'm getting with the program, so you do too, okay? I don't know, were you listening, Pastor Don?
Oh, I was listening to every word.
My gosh.
Definitely.
Does God work in powerful ways?
Yep.
what got me in the end was that police officer that mentored him, Miracle Way.
Yeah, that's pretty. That is so interesting.
God is in the details.
Yes.
They say that so many times. God
Yeah.
is in the details. That was so amazing. Well, and he had more to say.
Oh, yeah.
When I spoke with him, I look at my notes. I mean, I'm like all over the place, and I'm like, wow. I mean, he was sentenced to life.
Yeah. It's amazing what God can do, you know, how he can turn a life completely around.
Yeah.
You know, I know a gentleman at the same scenario where he had actually left a person to die, and same way, he went back to where he was from, turned himself in, and he was acquitted of it. Said, no, I'm sorry, we can't do anything about it now. And so walked away free, you know, but he found the Lord after that, you know, the same way. Find God, and man, it's amazing how God, when we deal with our past, you know, and bring it before the Lord,
Right.
he takes care of
And
it.
truly repent.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think when he turned himself in, that's when God was, come here.
Yeah.
I like to
yeah.
be dramatic about things like that. But
He was definitely working on him, and that's for sure.
And he was headed for just nothing, but Satan had a hold on him.
Yeah.
He was going down a wrong, dark path.
I love it, you know, how God's power has to do it. You know, I was looking at scriptures because I look a lot of times to the scriptures when they're talking and things that God inspires and how God transformed their lives. And I was thinking, you know, Paul was talking about it in 1 Corinthians when he said in chapter 2, and my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of what? Of the Spirit and of power.
Wow.
You know? And then it goes on in verse 5, it said that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. So it isn't about the words he had to say right there and those kind of things so much as the demonstration of the power of God in his life, how
Yes.
God changed
God
him and
changed
took him
him.
through that situation, you know, so that now our faith can rest in not so much wise words that people had to say about it, but but the demonstration. You know, I've had people ask me, they say, well, how do you know God's real? I said, called the power of change.
Oh, I love
The
it.
power of change. You know,
Yes.
only in God can you go down to an altar as an addict and come back and never
Clean.
want it again.
Yes.
You know, only can you go
Yes.
down there and be
Be
delivered
healed.
from drugs or
Yes.
be healed. It's the power of change, and his life is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, big
you know,
time.
and hey, change doesn't always happen overnight either. You know,
Yeah.
I always said, Lord, it took 30 years to get me into this mess, Lord, and I don't expect you to take me out overnight. You know, so a lot of times in our lives, you know, God works through the pieces, you know,
Yes.
breaking off. I watched a little video of chiseling. God's chiseling on us all the time, you know.
That's good.
Making us better and making us to be that image he wants us
That's
to
good.
be. That's what he did with him there. Chiseling.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's powerful.
And this, you know, what amazes me is how his life has changed, and that again, I love to read, and I
Yes.
believe I don't do the e-books and all that. I'm one of these. I want to see the book. You know, I want to hold it,
Yeah.
and I want to sit there with my hot tea
That's
and turn the page. And he autographed this book for me, and
Nice.
yeah, and the beginning. What is God
Yes.
doing? You know, there's a lot of people that ask that. What is God doing in our life? Why is
Yeah.
this happening? You know, those
Yes,
kinds of questions.
definitely.
And because of his experience, I can't wait. I'll probably start reading this one tonight.
Yeah.
But, you know, things like this are tools that
Yes.
he's going to pass on to other people. And now he's a counselor.
Yes, great vision too. You know, he was talking about picking up the vision of realizing that Christ was a mentor.
Yeah, I
You
like
know,
that.
so powerful to talk about that and even think about it in the way of even I know he even mentioned even in the churches we lack it, and it's true. You
Oh,
know.
my goodness.
I see it a lot of times. It all rests on, well, the pastor's got that under control, you know. But it is each of our responsibility to take somebody up under our wing and mentor
Exactly.
them. You know, especially I mean, he mentioned even in his race and all that, growing up fatherless. But today's life, it doesn't matter who you are.
Exactly.
There's so much mentoring needs to be done. You know, we have different programs that we're involved in mentoring, and in our church we try to do it through leadership programs as well, and conferences and events we do all to mentor people's lives and transform them. Be transformed by the renewing of the mind.
Renewing of the mind.
So a lot of times
Yes.
mentoring is just helping that person to renew their mind to what really God has in store for them.
And see, God put him in a contained environment for 20-some years so that he had time to read the
yeah.
Bible. And but then he saw again the bad side of, you know, they were just doing it to just do something. And
Yes.
stuff like that. And we have to, and I share that with the viewers all the time, that, you know, you guys call and you go, well, the first thing usually you say is, I don't have a church. I don't go to church. I don't know how to pray. I've been so bad, God's not going to help me. I don't think I know God. I don't think I believe in God. This is what my viewers call and say. And I can remember the first time I heard, I don't know how to pray, I'm like, what? It's so basic, to me. But I want you all to know that you can be the only light to someone.
Yes.
You can be that only light that they'll ever see until you really light them. It's like you could be in a dark room and just the littlest candle, now the dark is broken. It doesn't have to be a full-blown ray. It's just a little bit, even with those battery-operated LED candles. I have them in my little prayer room in my greenhouse out there. And they light up enough, but it's just that little spark, and it's planting the seed. And I have a little segment that I do that's called the mustard seed. And you can be that mustard seed for someone. And you need to know that in your heart. You need to say to yourself, look at yourself in the mirror, okay? Go to that mirror and say, okay, this crazy woman said there's something in me that I can share with someone else. Do it. When you sit there and you look at yourself long enough, you start thinking, well, I don't think so. Then you say, I got to say one good thing about myself. Doesn't matter. You could be talking about your hair, you could be talking about your house, you could be talking about your dog, whatever it is, but there's always good in your life, even when you think there isn't. And these people call some of them just totally down. But when you reach out to God, you just do this. Hey, Pastor Donnie, hi. So, hey, God, hi, I'm here. It's that simple, you guys. And then if I need something, I'm going to say, Pastor Donnie, could you help me out? I got a problem. All right? Talk to God. Hey, God, I know you're here, and I hope you're listening. I have a problem. It's that simple. Talk to God. He is your father. He is your daddy. Call him anything you want to. I call my God Daddy. Right. And I look at him as my daddy.
The Bible tells us he's our Abba Father.
Yeah.
Abba means daddy.
And he's there to spoil us. But he gives us the desires of our heart. But like a good father, if we want some bad things, he's going to go, no, 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 not now. And we have to learn his voice, you see. And it's so easy, you guys. So I want to just, I had to say that, but now I want you to understand. I'm going to switch things on you right now. Share the show. We're on Creative Christian Network. You can go to that website, and we'll have it up on the screen, and you can go there, see the show again. Call a friend. Maybe they know somebody that's maybe still in prison, headed for prison, is in a jail, or doing drugs. That's eventually going to put them there.
Maybe inspire them to mentor.
Exactly. That's good.
Take on the heart of it.
Yeah, that's right. And so let's use this technology that can sometimes put us on the wrong track. We sit around, and I know my grandbabies, they're always on the phone, and I'm like, shut up, put that down, we're going to eat. Use that technology, turn it around, take it away from Satan, and use it for God's work. Use it for God's work, okay? Send somebody a PDF of the show. Send them a link to the show. You have a show, Pastor Donnie, and I put it on my website. And you go find the Word. Share the Word. Stay in the Word. Because then God gets so much a part of your life. You can't exist without Him. I mean, little things happen to me, and I'm going, God, help me through this. God, thank you for this. I mean, it's just... Sometimes it's like I talk to myself, but I'm talking to my God.
That's right.
Thank you, Pastor Donnie, for being here again. I really admire the dedication you have in your life for God. And let's say to everybody right now, we believe. God put in my heart 5 years ago to produce this show, and it's about uniting the body of believers. And every show we're going to reach out and touch you guys and see if we can't unite you as a body of believers, one by one. As in Ephesians 4, verses 4 through 6, we should be one body, praising our one Lord and our one God. It's not about where you go to church or if you go to church, or, it's about, do you believe? Have faith. Believe in God. Become a believer. If God is in your heart, the world changes, your whole life changes, and you'll be so happy because you're going to be full of God's love. I want you to join our body of believers. Yes, I'm pointing at that camera and I'm catching you right there. I want you to join our body of believers. So it's real simple. Call me, email me, or text me. I mean, how much easier does it get, you guys? But join the body of believers. So together we can all say, I believe. Lord help us, the time went so fast. I don't know about you, but I feel so happy and I feel so inspired. And our guest on this show was Mr. Gerrel Jones. And this book, I'm going to read it tonight. At least I'm going to start to read it tonight. I read slow because sometimes I have to read back and forth. But, you know, read the Bible, get a Christian book, learn the Word. Even if all you do is take one verse and then you memorize it, you're one step closer to becoming that person that someone says, that person over there can quote anything out of the Bible. Not everybody can. We all should read the Bible. People say they read it from front to the back. I've sort of tried to do that. I get more out of it when I read an actual verse and apply it like Pastor Donnie does on the show. Whatever it takes for you to understand God's Word is what I'm asking you to do. And like always, I'm asking you to reach out and use this show because we go to a lot of trouble. The guests come from Alabama. They come from all over the place. We've had guests from Africa on here to share the Word and share their testimony. Everybody has a story. You out there have a story. And I'm going to invite you to call me because I answer that phone. So just call me and say, hey, I would like to be on the show. I have a story. Maybe you just want to say, hey, I want to pray for somebody. Maybe you want to volunteer to do something for the show. God can use you in so many ways, and it's so simple. All you have to do is ask Him into your heart. Simply just say, God, come into my heart. I make you my Lord and Savior. And He will use you. He will make you so happy. He's going to fill you with joy. And until I see you next week, I want you to remember 2 words. Every morning say, I believe.
Our prayer lines are open right now. Please call at 865-680-1891. 865-680-1891. Our prayer lines are open right now. Please call at 865-680-1891. 865-680-1891.
Okay, guys, instead of just picking up that phone and calling me, there's another way you can reach me. Text me. But if you text me, it's kind of simple. Just text me your need and tell me what time it's best time to call you back, and I promise you I will. It's the new technology on hand, and I'm getting with the program, so you do too, okay?
Join us next week, same time, and please don't forget to tell a friend. Now you can watch the show again on CreativeChristianNetwork.com. Thank you for watching I Believe with Dr. Gwen Ford.